Hello, guys. Welcome to Chit Chat, a podcast where I pretty much talk about anything under the sun. And on today's episode, I'm joined by Ryan Sullivan, or more notably known as Sullybop, lyricist, producer, podcast connoisseur, and yes, how about you tell the people what you do with it?
Sure thing. Well, first, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This setup is really interesting, and I just, it's really cool to see you doing this, man. You know, grassroots. I always respect, a grassroots podcast. But yeah, I'll give you a little bit of context on what I do. So I'm a rapper, producer, DJ, and podcaster. Just kind of depends on what's going on in my life at that time, what I'm doing more. But recently, in the past year, I've started a small podcast production company. So I've been producing podcasts for brands, businesses, basically anybody. And I'm also a musician, as you said, and a lyricist. And, I've been making music for probably about 5 years now, playing it for probably 10. And, so that's one of my passions. And then I didn't monetize that, and I ended up monetizing podcast production after I started my own podcast, interviewing people. Then I did a podcast for a company, and then I left, and then that's kind of when I decided, okay, I'm just gonna take this kind of leap. And I was still in college, and decided I'm gonna try to edit podcasts for people and make a business out of that. So there's other things that I do too, but that's kind of the short, skinny of it.
So how did it all begin? Started in high school? What was your first passion?
Oh yeah, so I'll take it back even before that. So I had a friend who made YouTube videos, and so that was the start of my understanding content and kind of creating content. So he was making videos, gaming videos, and I'm talking probably middle school-ish, and I had made YouTube videos before, like the stupid ones you make when you're a kid, but I had never made kind of produced videos. So he showed me how to record, the Xbox, and we were gaming and doing all that. So we had a little podcast together, and that was in middle school. We only did 3 episodes. We didn't even know it was a podcast. We would just sit down and record, right? So that was kind of the beginning of any type of content, recording, podcast, getting my voice on a microphone, embedded over the video when you have Modern Warfare 2 gameplay going on. You remember that stuff, man. So that's kind of how I got started initially. And then I kind of got out of that world. I went to high school, but in high school, I got approached by a friend of mine. I didn't even know him that well, but he knew that I liked music. I was into music. I had dropped some hip hop songs at that time. And he asked me if I wanted to be a DJ. And I'd never been a DJ before, and I was 17, but he's like, well, you have a license, so you can drive us to the gigs, because he didn't have a license. He's like, I'll bring all the equipment, I'll do all the music, you just have to do the mic and drive us there. I'm like, all right, cool. Man, we butchered some Sweet 16s, man. We had some quinceaneras that they didn't remember it for being good, They remembered it this DJ has no idea what he's doing. But so those kind of 2 instances of working with creating content with my friend Josh in middle school, and then with my friend Ethan DJing, and just all of these kind of things where you don't even realize you have no limitations, right? Because you're just doing it, because you're like, I can't believe we can even do this, right? So that's kind of how I got started.
How going a little deeper, how is your process, at least for DJing?
Well, it just depends. It depends on the gig, depends on the venue, kind of what we're doing. Now, primarily, during the pandemic, it stopped. I had no gigs. I went from 40 gigs a year to 3, so that sucked because I was really getting good at doing weddings. But I was doing primarily weddings and parties, events. But I was getting good at weddings, and my process for that is I actually work for a DJ company now. I do some stuff on my own, but I work for this company in South Jersey, Starshield Entertainment. It's called. Shout out Starshield. Great company, and they train their employees, and they really care. So it was great to have formal training, because I never had that before. So they kind of introduced to me the process of how a gig gets set up. How are you communicating with the photographer, the event planner, XYZ, to make an event as good as it possibly can be, because especially you have a wedding, that's, you'd hope it's the best day of their lives. So you want to make that the best day of their lives, and you want nothing to go wrong if you can. And things will, it is what it is. But for me, I like to understand a little bit about the client. I like to know what they like, what are their interests. Can I throw on something that they're gonna be surprised that I threw on, but they're gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe you knew I like that. Like, that's type of stuff. For me, it's about making moments, about creating great moments. And obviously a lot of that comes in with the preparation and the planning and having the equipment and having the backup, wires and everything, right? But my goal with that is, to create moments. And there's not like a full or an extensive process that's like step by step. It's more of having everything in place so then you can create those moments.
Nice. Does that company that you work with, do they provide your gear, or do you bring your own?
Yeah, they have gear. Yeah, it's great. So they, at the height of it, it was going great. There was like 8 DJs. We do DJs and DJing and photo booths. Photo booth meaning, anything from like basically an iPad with a light around it to like a larger photo booth that takes your picture and prints it out and all that. So we have that aspect of the company. And they have everything. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm slowly building my own setup just to have, which is nice, but yeah, they have all professional everything. I basically go get the stuff and go to the gig.
Nice. Oh, that
It's awesome.
must make it like very easy compared to like if you had to like log in your own stuff.
Yeah, man. It is. Yeah, it's definitely easier. There's like a part of like wanting to do it yourself, but then everything's on you. Like then you have nobody else to call.
Ease of it.
Yeah. You have, for me, I could just call my boss and be like, hey, what's up? So I've done both. I've done it myself. I've done it with a company. But I really enjoy the company that I'm at. It's solid. Now, like I said, we haven't had any gigs, but before that, it was going real good.
So you haven't eased your way in. It's just been like dead.
It's been dead, yeah. For the most part, I did a wedding in August outside, and I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think I did in 2020. I did 3 gigs, I think, or 4. Normally, I'd have 40 to 50.
Wow.
Yeah, because 2 a weekend. You think for most weekends, that's like 100. So yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so that really died down because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see like an increase of like people trying to like pursue, let's say, podcasting? Was it like a rise in that, or just like that too?
No, definitely a rise in that for sure, because, well, a rise in alternative forms of DJing, which means virtual DJing, which I've been approached by companies to do it, but I've never done it. I don't know why. Maybe at some point I will. But as far as, at podcasting, when I started my business, it was the best time basically because it's pandemic. Everybody was staying home, and they were just like, how do I use Zoom and record interviews? And I'm like, I got you. I'll show you. So, definitely a rise in all forms content as well as podcasting it too. Yeah.
That's right. I remember you said that you do like you monitor the sound in meetings, like Zoom meetings.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Is that part of your is that part of your business, or is it something you do separate?
It's like basically part of the business, but it's not part of the podcast production side of it.
Uh-huh.
It's what I do. It's what I do. I do it freelance too. It's in the same capacity. I just work with different companies. But yeah, it's like a Zoom production, basically what you would call it. And so they'll have like a meeting with, anywhere from 10 to 40 something people, and I'll just organize it and make sure that the polls work and the breakout groups and all the technology's working, timing, all that.
Nice. Is that hard? Because how would you approach that? Like, how would you sync all of the audio so everybody can hear it correctly?
Well, it's not as much like when you're on there, you hear everybody. That is, most of the time the technology is the technology, and it's fine. So I don't do any like production with that as far as like it's called Zoom production, but I actually am not doing I'm not producing anything. I'll click record, things like that. But it's mostly, so I work with a facilitator. So what it is it's corporate it's basically all corporate. It's corporate management training. So I work for a management training company, and what that company does is another company will hire them to come in and train their managers on certain practices. So I work with with a facilitator who facilitates the training, and I'm their producer. So I am there to make sure the videos play right, that, like I said, the polls, the breakouts, all that, so they can train and the audience can learn.
Oh, no.
And I'm just the in-between guy for anything else.
Is that common? No,
this is a really niche job,
Really?
for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Zoom producers now, especially now. Like,
Yeah.
I would not have, this job did not exist before the pandemic. So just the fact that my schedule freed up, I'm starting this podcast thing, somebody I connected with on LinkedIn who I'm actually making a podcast with now too, they own a management training company, and they said, hey, you do technology and audio, do you want to try this Zoom production? I was like, yeah, cool. Now I've worked for like 4 or 5 different companies doing it. So I just fell into it. It was only people asking me to do it. I didn't even know it existed. They taught me how to do it, you know? So I didn't even know, like, I tell people and they're like, I don't know what that is, you know, because I didn't even know. I didn't even know it was a thing. I didn't even know management training exists. Like, if you want to go, you could go so far, you know, it's such a niche thing. But it's just one of the things, you know, it's good, the money's good. So, and I enjoy the training. I kind of get free training a little bit, so.
I would have loved to have invested in Zoom before the pandemic.
Yeah, man. You and everybody else, man. And the thing is, I was working for a company before the pandemic, you know, the entire year and a half before that. Every meeting I had was on Zoom. I worked remotely on Zoom, and I used everything, Calendly, Zoom, you know, all these time management apps, like, you know, all of these things. I've already used them. So, like, when the pandemic hit, I should have known, like, oh, all these are going to blow up, because I already used Zoom for 2 years. And I took all my meetings on Zoom. You know, so.
Yeah, also for school too. My classes were always on Zoom before, and then like the pandemic hits and everybody's using Zoom.
Yeah.
Like noobs.
It's like a no-brainer. Yeah, straight up. They're like, how do I make my mic? I'm like, yo, y'all should just know. Like, come on.
And wait, you said you use or not Calendly specifically, but other like programs or softwares or apps. For like motivation and time management.
Management.
I see, because I follow you on Instagram and I see like you're very like big on that. You know what I mean? Like
I am big on that.
Finding motivation, like working out and doing this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
And you're very busy. Like you have, I guess you said like your 9 to 5, right? And then like you have like
I guess. Yeah, I make my own schedule right now, so yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I mean, pros and cons, but.
And then like you have that, and then you have like your business, and then you are in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yep. How the fuck do you manage all of that?
Well, it's not like, yeah, that's the thing, like managing, and also because you're trying to blend different things. Because for me, like, my main focus is my career and my work, because that's where I get fulfillment. Some people get fulfillment out of relationships. Some people get them from TV shows and movies and music and art, and it doesn't matter. I mean, literally the list goes on of where people feel fulfilled. I'm not as much about happiness. I mean, I'm happy. For me, I'm lucky, I think. I'm just kind of automatically, I get angry about things, obviously, but like, I'm pretty optimistic, and I kind of like worked on that mindset.
Like you're easygoing. Like
I try to be like, and definitely worked on that. So it's not as much happiness for me that I'm going for. It's more like fulfillment. But I get that out of my work. So it's hard to explain. It's hard for people to understand that, you know, because people think like your job is just a job. Like for me, like my jobs aren't just a job. Like I have to be invested in, not monetarily invested, but invested in the company I work for. They have to be invested in me. Like it has to be a growth opportunity. It's not like I don't do, you know, work for people that I'm not going to grow and learn from. So for me, like my time is always spent just doing more work or growing what I've built or doing something I'm passionate about, because that's where I feel fulfilled. Other people get it from like, I'm not as much a person to kind of disconnect. I just listen to podcasts. Like some people will watch movies and watch TV shows or they go for, hiking or something. Like I, I'm pretty physically active, but like for me, like I don't really watch Netflix. I just watch podcasts and listen to podcasts. So I just have a different kind of like, I have just my own lifestyle, So to manage all of that and then to explain it and like be in a relationship where obviously this person's not, I love my girlfriend. Like she's not the same person as me at all. She has a completely different job. She has a completely different career. So to kind of like try to balance that and then also have her understand, like it's tough when I'm like, I'm just going to edit 4 podcasts today and instead of hanging out, Yeah. And then she's like, what do you mean? We like dedicated this whole day to like, and for me, I just don't think about it the same way, like for me, it's just like something I have to do, So yeah, I don't know the answer. Like it's, the balance is hard, but yeah, I really am about the time management though. Yeah, I could go into that. But.
I am an extreme person. I feel like I'm always, that's why I only have like, not that I only have 3 friends, but like I stick to 3 people.
You got a tight circle.
That tight circle. I really, not much in the dating scene because I'm very focused right now on my career, on getting out there and becoming the best that I can personally be. So being an extreme person, I don't know when to stop. So I time management, but when I time management is strict.
Really, I time management? Bear with me, y'all, as I will forget how to English for this little bit. Ha 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 ha.
I time management, but when I time management is strictly for like work or whatnot. And then it's like 3 a.m. and it's been like almost a 24-hour day, and I'm like, wow, how do people do this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like so do you like prioritize like sleep and your health too, or will you let work take over that?
I'll let work take over
Okay,
that.
See, that's my line. Like my line is my health and sleep, because I honestly, I've never really been like that. I've never been like my videographer, for example, like he'll be editing. I know he'll text me at 2:33 in the morning on like a Tuesday because that's when he's working. Kid who I lived with for 2 years, my best friend Aaron, like we were roommates. I would go to bed at 10:30, man. He'd be up till 3, right? Like some people just have different ways of doing it. But for me, like even if I have an infinite amount of work to do, like I'll usually just be like, all right, I gotta like sleep, or I gotta, So most of the time I compromise eating, which I really shouldn't do. But for me, like, yeah, I try to have like that strict line with myself. Like, all right, I gotta sleep now.
Yeah, I start panicking when it's like, okay, I need to be up in 4 hours, so I really need to go to bed right now.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's exhilarating.
Yeah,
because you're doing something that you love and you get fulfillment out of that.
Yes.
And I think also like, with me being this sort of personality and me finding fulfilling in what I do, there is this lack of balance, really, because I let that take over my life. Yeah. And it's something that I really got to work on.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, balance is crazy because everybody's balance is different, Yeah. And they always tell people, this is the thing, people always say, like, you got to find a balance. Like, what are you talking about? There's never a balance. There's never a perfect balance. The perfect balance doesn't exist. But what you have to do, it's not that you even need to find a balance. Like, you just need to set guidelines for yourself, like rules for yourself. That's all, and then not break them, which is hard. It's hard. Yeah. That's the hardest thing to do.
Like building habits. It takes a long time to build and sticking to it. How do you do it? You said that you have, so that you can go a bit into that. Like, how do you?
Yeah, I could go into that. So, I'm just, I'm really about, not that I'm about mindset as much, but I'm kind of about life. I like life design. So, kind of being able to plan things out and schedule them and have them on a calendar. It's that I like that. I like to kind of not like predict the future, but just know what's gonna happen. Yeah, and I've just been bad with it before, because I don't have a problem working. Like I love working. Like that's not an issue. The issue is efficiency, because that's the problem when you're like a hard worker, because you don't focus on efficiency. You just focus on like getting more shit done. But that shit might not even be beneficial to get done, like you're just working to work, So right, and then so what I've done, like now I'm kind of in like this mode where I'm in like freelance mode where I'm kind of like designing my schedule, just doing one thing one day, one thing the next, like, but overall I try to just stay strict with my guidelines, like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed at this time, wake up at this time, no matter what I have to do, and just plan everything out, like, if I can't, like, almost everything. But then you get to a point where you're like, I just planned my whole life out, and where's the spontaneity, like, then that goes, and you want a little bit of that too, right? So but for me, it's really just about staying disciplined. Like, if I tell myself, all right, I'm going to create this workout program, I'm going to do it for 3 months, I got to do it 4 days a week, then that's what I'm going to do. Like, if something happens, like I have to work or something, work late, that is what it is. But it's really, I focus less on mindset and more on planning and productivity and efficiency. That's what I'm about now. That's what I kind of switched to, because I did a lot of work on myself too, as far as like meditation, mindfulness, spirituality. That was not something that I knew anything about, and that helped me though. That helped me to understand my own values, and then also be in a place where I could get a ton of work done, and then also try to audit if that work actually was like efficient or not.
What route did you go for that? Like, did you go for books, like websites?
I've done a lot of books. I've done a lot of audiobooks, but I started with a guided meditation by Sam Harris. I'm not sure if you know who he is, but he's a neuroscientist, author, speaker, whole nine. And so I started with a guided meditation from him. I did it. I remember I was in my freshman year of college, maybe my sophomore year. So I'll give you some context. So my first 2 years of college, I went to community college, and I lived at home. Mm-hmm. Smart, but also depressing. So then you're like, what? Like, I'm saving all this money, but all my friends are gone. So what am I supposed to do? So I was kind of in a mode where, like, I would just stay up till whenever, wake up, like, I had like a 9-to-5 job, and then I would go to school, and my life, I had like little passions and little goals that I would work on here and there, but nothing like consistent. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going to try this meditation thing. So I did 30 minutes a day, every day, for like 60 days or something like that, 45 days or whatever. And then after that, I started a practice, like a meditation practice. And since then, it's probably been like 3 or 4 years of meditation almost every day. And I've maybe taken like a month off, 2 months off in that time. But I just did it. Like, I just tried all of them. I tried all the guided ones. I tried non-guided. I tried Wim Hof breathing. I tried different belly breathing. Just all these different ways to calm the mind, because if, I don't know if you're the same, but like my mind's like basically just going nonstop.
24/7.
Yeah. So they were like, well, this is a way to calm your mind throughout the day. And you can do it at the beginning or the end or both. And it'll actually calm your mind throughout the day too. So I'm like, yo, that's what I need. Like, for me, like I like smart drugs and like things like that, and nootropics.
Like nootropics.
And, yeah, exactly. Like, I'm into that shit. Yeah. So, but I'm like, I want, like, all right, what's something that I can do without that stuff? And meditation, you can never replace it with any type of substance. But so that was, my meditation practice is I can't live without it now, man. Like, if I don't do it for a couple days, I feel it, and then if I didn't do it for a month, I don't want to know who I am at the end of that month, man. Because it's like, I don't want to go back, man, to like how I felt before that, and it kind of starts a good cycle. I feel like with it gets like, all right, you do your meditation. Now it's like, all right, take your vitamins, like eat in the morning, like it kind of
preps you up for today,
uplifts, and it keeps you accountable to the other things you have to do too. I feel like
kind of like the whole making your bed thing.
I'm a ball about that too. Yeah. Like, I mess up sometimes and don't make it if I'm in a rush or something, but I try to make it every day too. That marine type shit.
And okay. I definitely not as structured as you are. But one thing that I have found out that works, which I would have never actually said that it would, previously, because I never tried it, is making your bed. Like, you wake up, you make your bed, and like, my mood just shifts.
Yeah,
like,
man.
I did that now because like my office space is in my room. Yep. So if that's messy, my mind's gonna be messy because I'm very about my environment. Like, it needs to be at least like clean. at least tidy.
No, I could tell too. And just like that's, it's funny because some people are like that, and some people can tolerate like a certain amount of like kind of all over the place and clutter and but yeah, that's you have that kind of like standard almost, but yeah, that could get crazy too, trying to tighten up every single end, But yeah, the bed thing. Sorry to cut you off. That is I feel the same way because when I wake up, I drink if I have a bottle of water, I either drink a whole bottle of water or like 2 glasses of water. Automatically, first thing I do before I try not to check my phone at all, and I will just go start the meditation, do that 20 minutes, 25 minutes. If I'm short on time, 15 or 10, but usually 20 to 25. And then, make my bed. I usually make my bed after that because I like just starting that doing. Yeah. And then I'm getting my coffee, checking my notes, writing new notes on what I have to do, and then start the day.
Yeah, I remember I was the type of person who can work with mess. Like if you knew me at a year, maybe 2 years ago, and you would have walked into my room, it would look like a bomb had exploded.
Really?
Literally, especially my bathroom would be disgusting. It's messy, and then I don't know what shit my cat. Yeah, I got my cat. Yeah. Okay, I can live in this, but I'm not gonna make this thing.
Yeah.
Live there.
This being.
As well, yeah. What was that thing? But yeah, and then I remember I got her, and then I started okay, let me just overhaul of my room, throw out things that I don't need.
Yep.
Especially getting rid of stuff that you don't need. I'm not a minimalist, but just throwing out things that you don't use, or donating it, not really throwing it out because people can use it. So donating it can really just lift the mood.
All right, I
space.
didn't use anything I didn't use in the last year. All right, let's get rid of it.
Yeah,
right? That type
clothes,
of stuff. Yeah, I'm with you. Moving really helps with that too. I don't know if you've ever moved, but I moved into an apartment and then moved back. And there was just things where I'm just throw it in the dumpster, because I don't even want to deal with it. Yeah, it's mentally could be something stupid or even something that I really like. I've been really kind of getting into that attachment stuff lately.
I am so attached. I can be attached to a rock.
Yeah.
Especially because I remember in my closet I had towers and towers of boxes, iPhone boxes and laptops.
Oh, I got that in my old closet, dude. They're still there. I gotta clean them out.
Why do I keep that?
Yeah, yeah. It makes no. Well, people always keep boxes, man. It's not everybody, but I was actually on one of those management training things, and they were like, raise your hand if you have an Apple product. So most people, right? They go, raise your hand if you still have the box. Everybody, it's why? It's just a cardboard box.
Literally.
But you could get attached to anything. You're right.
I think, to touch upon the iPhone, I think you pay so much for it. You're gonna keep that.
You're gonna
box.
keep that box because that box is worth $35, man, at least or something.
Literally.
Oh my god.
But
that's crazy.
And we just. Oh no! Before I switch topics, do you know about Notion?
Notion, the Google Docs replacement type of deal. It's you can make notes in it.
Yeah.
Notion.so or whatever.
Hold up. Let me see this.
Yeah, see if.
Yeah, Notion. People get their lives together in Notion. So I just found out about it a few weeks ago. I think January actually, and it has completely changed my life.
Really?
From my own personal schedule to my business schedule to my 9 to 5 to my clients to literally because. There are different templates that you can choose from. You can go for schedule. You can go for the little drag and drop, to do, done, in the process situation, and it has organized the hell out of my life.
Really? So even more than a calendar, it's better than that.
Yeah, it's Cortana. Is it Cortana? What's the name of it? It doesn't really matter, but it's basically a calendar on steroids.
Because you can have documents inside of it. You can have spreadsheets and stuff inside of it. Yeah, I used it at the company that I work for. Like I said, when I was using Zoom and Calendly and all those things. Yeah, we used Notion too. That was our main.
Really?
That was our main,
oh yeah, you can use it with like different
people. It was
people.
for business.
Yeah.
So I have my CRM in it right now, like for my company, that I use, and it's great. Like you literally have the person's name, and it's in the lead section, and you pull it over to the won or lost or whatever. It's it's really intuitive, and it is. I love how it's all interconnected. Like we had in our entire company in this Notion, and it would just like you could just click from one to the other, and it was great. Yeah, I've used it. I never knew the power of it for like personal too.
Literally, it is so like you said, it's very powerful. But yes, completely powerful.
Great tool.
Now to segue off of that, this productivity sort of talk. What does it take to run a podcast business? So like, what is your business about? Like, what is the process of like creating content, putting content, the maintenance that goes with that? Like, what's the situation?
Well, so overall, what the business is, it's podcast production from the ground up. So somebody comes to me, they want to launch a podcast, start a podcast. That's what I help people to do, and then I help them to keep it going. And how I do that is I save people time and effort. So I make it so if you work with me, the only thing you have to do is record it, and then after that you don't have to do anything else. Like we got it, and that's my goal. My overall goal is to just help as many people make as many podcasts as possible, because I think podcasts help a lot of people. They've helped me a lot. And being interviewing, and just the content that it creates, I just think it's extremely powerful, and I think it's the most powerful form of content that you can make, because you could do so much with it. For me personally, like I'm an audio engineer, so I do all the audio, and I have a videographer named Brandon Ferrero, and he does the video. He's just. He does my music videos, and he ended up I actually met his brother in my college class. He's like, hey, my brother is a videographer. I linked up with him, and we've been working together for almost a year now, which is awesome. And I have some other people that have helped me and worked with me too. Shout out to Lauren, Jack, Harrison too. Just like some other people that are invested some of their time into it, because they believed in it too, and I'm basically the driver of it. But so what I've done recently though is partnered with another company, and now the entire back end of my business is all there's like 10 to 15 people on the back end to do everything.
Oh, nice.
Now. Yeah, which is great. And so what I do is like I'm there to do the strategy and work through it, talk through it, create the podcast, manage everything, and I have just a brilliant team of people who actually just specialize and can do what they like to do. Graphic designers, other audio engineers, other videographers, and so that's very recent. Like that's within the past 2 weeks that happened. But overall,
good for you.
No, thanks, man. Yeah, I got approached by a company, or I got connected with somebody through another friend of mine, and he has this business where he helps podcast production companies. So we partnered up, and I really enjoyed his services and what he created. And so all that to come back to that, what that helps me do is help more people, because what I realize is what I'm good at. I can edit audio. I'm pretty good at that. But the best thing I can do is actually get somebody excited about their podcast and then talk them through it to the point where they're not confused or frustrated anymore. And at the end of my calls, I love to hear when people are like, I'm so excited to start this podcast. That's what I live for. And me just editing them all day wasn't going to help me help more people. So I will help people for free, man. Like people get on a call with me, like I'm going to tell you, if they're like, hey, listen, I'm starting this podcast, this is the budget. How do I do it myself? I'll give them as many resources as possible. But to answer your question, like what it takes, I did it all in my room, like with a computer, with a laptop, and that was it. I learned, I went to school for business, so I've been within the business world for a while, and I kind of understand sales, marketing, business development to an extent. And then I was like, well, how do you build a production company? So then I'm like, all right, what I got to do is do what I did at the marketing company, and I got to work for a production company and see how it all works. Yeah. So I've been just applying for production company jobs, because I just feel like I'm not going to hire a production assistant if I've never been one, or I don't know what it takes. I can't just build this company, right? So I want to know what that's all about. But yeah, so I mean, to run a podcast production company, you really just need time and a computer, and have to be. The main thing is just being willing to help people. That's what I'm all about, man. I just want to make as many people hosts of their own podcast and to find their voice, because you're like shooting out into this void, of content. So
Yeah, very saturated.
yeah, man, there's a lot of content.
What company did you partner with?
It's called Podblade.
Podblade.
Shout out my boy Rom. His name's Rom. I think he's in New York, and the company's called Podblade, and they set up podcast production. And it doesn't have to be a podcast production company. Like, say you could be a Rom. You better be throwing me commission for this ad. So you can be a marketing company and offer podcast services, and they will do all your podcast services. And as the marketing company, you just sell it for however much more money you want on top. And that's the kind of how the company works. So I won't really speak to the details just because that's Rom's department and he's built it. But in short, yeah, that's really what it is.
Nice. Do they take care of the production and the marketing side of it?
Not the content as far as like graphics and video editing, but not as far as like running ads or anything like that. Nor do I offer that because I hate marketing. So, but I have consultants and agents that are in agencies that are really good, and I understand. I used to do marketing, but now I'm connected with enough people where if people need marketing for their podcast, if they need marketing, like if they're looking to do ads in a campaign, then I'll just send them to people that I trust. Yeah.
And how did you? So I assume you got into podcasting because you love listening to it so much, right? You get a lot of value from it.
Yeah, the most from it.
What is because you have your podcast yourself, right? What is it about?
So my podcast is called Bopcast, and it started from me talking. I was just talking to, just like this, just talking to the camera though, with the mic and just speaking to the camera just by myself. I did 2 episodes of those, of that version, and my audience was down. Like, they really liked it. But for me, I just felt like, am I going to just talk to myself forever? And I was in community college. Like I said, I met this guy. His name's Dan, and he was just like, I knew he was a hustler, Like, when you meet some people, you're like, oh, this guy's going to, like, make $1 million or something. You just know. And he had made, like, a ton of money in the stock market while he was in college. So I wanted to learn, like, how he did that. But then also, that was a perfect opportunity because I just said to him, you'll just be the first interview on my podcast.
How much money did you say he made?
Like 6 figures in a year or 2. Yeah,
Lit.
Pretty good. Yeah, yeah, dude. My man knows what he's doing. Like these stock, there's some people that are broke trading stocks, and there's some people that are doing really well. But it was a cool opportunity for us to just sit down and actually record an interview. So I bought another mic and recorded an interview, and that was episode 3, and now I'm on episode 40, I think, or 45.
Nice.
So yeah, and the podcast stopped because I do in person. So like you too, like how it is. I was in the kind of heat of the protests when I was trying to record more in person interviews, and I had one of my guests get some symptoms before, and he ended up not being able to come, and we're still going to record that one, but it just kind of, I just didn't feel right. And now I do, for sure, because just the way that everything has gone now. But so I had to stop it. I shut it down. And I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to have to drop one, then wait a bunch of time and drop one. So I'm like, all right, I'll hoard these, and then we'll do a launch, and we'll just keep it going from there forever.
Yeah.
But I got bored of the Zoom interviews too, man, because I'm on Zoom all day.
I feel because you're ready to work with the companies on Zoom, and then you have to go on Zoom to record these podcasts. Yeah,
at 6, 7 at night with the time zone, and it's like I know I'm complaining about literally complaining about recording a podcast, but at the same time, my show needs to be in person because there's aspects of it that you need to be in person. It's an experience. There's an experience that goes.
It's an energy too that goes with it, like actually having a conversation with somebody. Because even if you're on FaceTime with somebody, it's a bridge, but it's not real. You're not on the same side. You're still on different sides. You know what I mean?
Yes. You see them, but you can't feel energy through that.
Yeah.
That energy you have in person you can't feel that on FaceTime or Zoom or whatever as much. I do phone calls, man. That's what I do for clients. I call clients and they're like, or not clients. I call whoever books a call with me, and they're like, they'll be like panicking before. Where's the Zoom link? Where's the Zoom link? And I'm like, trust me, I'm gonna call you in 2 minutes. Watch. Like, and they get on the phone. They're like, there's no Zoom. I'm like, no, let's just talk. Oh my god. Like these people are so in this Zoom world, and I'm like, I feel you because that's my job, but I'm trying to like, let's go back, dude. Like, let's go back to like just talking or just being in person if we can, safely.
I also feel like I enjoy more awkward moments of silence in person than on FaceTime, because I feel like on FaceTime I'm just staring at them and they're staring at me. I'm just like looking around. Because at least you're both awkward in person and you're just like trying to carry on the conversation at least to like different topics.
Yeah, and it's a different interview if you do it on Zoom or something. Like it'll just be a different thing. Yeah. Like it'll turn out differently. It'll probably still be great. I've had some great interviews on Zoom for sure, but nothing beats it in person.
Yeah.
Drinking a beer, just whatever, like just those things that you want to do with somebody. Pour a glass of wine, just chill, shoot the shit. Shout out Jersey, smoke a joint. I can say that now, and they can't fire me.
For real, legalized. That's true.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Do you write your own stuff?
As far as music?
Yeah, lyrics.
Yeah, all the lyrics I do, all the writing, all the lyrics, and I used to do the beats. I have a brilliant producer now. He's amazing. His name's Jello. Shout out Jello Music. Extremely talented artist, man, and so he produces for me. I have a few engineers that I work with. And I try to only just do the vocals now, and everything else like let the people who are really good at that do it.
I'm starting to like veer into that lane, but I still feel like I don't have as much control of it when somebody produces it. Mm-hmm. But like I can't do it all by myself. I'm learning this. Like I can't. This can't be a one-man show forever. So yeah, I'm looking for producers as well because I can't. Well, I mean, I can, but like. No.
I know, I see what you're saying. You can do it, but it's, are you going to do it forever? For me, me and Angelo, his name is, like, he just approached me on Instagram, I think, or that's where he connected me. He sent me beats. I had him on my podcast. We became real good friends. And now it's just a working relationship. It's just like he makes beats, I rap on them. I'll go to engineer and have them mastered, and then I'll, I'll make the content, and I don't know. It's just like a team. Team is very, very important as a musician. You have to have the team, and you have to have people who believe in the vision, because you are not going to even believe in your own vision sometimes. So sometimes when you're in a slump, right, like you need that producer to be like, yo, just made this beat, bro. Like you got to do this on this. You got to do something on this. And then I'm like, oh, I haven't been writing recently, like I'm just taking a break. Like, no, get the fuck out of that shit, man. Like, come on. Like, so sometimes you need like other people, just the energy to bring you back in, to build you up, True. So I'm about that team shit. I was doing it all myself too. And but I had my album engineered by a really brilliant producer, man, really great producer. His name's Beach Links out of Philly, and he kind of just gave me the game. Like he taught me. He was like, everybody thinks their bars are dope. Everybody thinks their lyrics are great. Everybody thinks their song is gonna blow up. So he gave me these like reality checks, right, in music, and then he kind of just like set me free. And then I kind of, found my producer, found my team, And
wait, how did you meet him?
So weird way of meeting. So my friend Chris Miller, he's a big fan of this group called Ground Up, and they were a rap group out of like New Hope. I think they started in New Hope, PA, and then they became bigger in Philly in like the 2010s ish, and probably like 10 years ago. They ended up going on tour with G-Eazy. They ended up doing songs with like Action Bronson, and like they're real good friends with Asher Roth, and just these artists. But then they kind of like dismantled, but they ended up all kind of doing their own thing. And my friend was like, hey, you should hit this guy up on Instagram. Like, he's in Philly. Like, I know he still makes music, I think. Just see if you can like connect with him. DM'd him. Doesn't even know me. Just told him I'm a fan. And he had me one time with two of my friends. We went there and we like recorded a couple songs. And he just taught us a little bit, but he also, we couldn't afford his beats. Like, we couldn't, there was only so much he could do, but he gave us good direction. All from a direct message on Instagram. And then I came back to him a year later with a full album that I produced. Like, I produced it, did all the lyrics, like, recorded it. And then I re-recorded the whole thing. He engineered it, helped me with the beats. And then after that was kind of when I was like, all right, I got this. Like, I'm good. But yeah, I just sent him a DM on Instagram.
Nice. The power of reaching out, too. Because you feel like, oh,
build your network, man. I'm a network guy. That's
very, yeah,
connector, you know? Literally.
Because, like, you feel, oh, I only have this amount of followers. I don't have my content out. Like, I have to wait for this, that, and the third. Don't do it. Just do it. Just reach out. Like, it won't kill you.
Exactly.
You live. You got this.
Exactly. You could get a lot of high-level people. You'd be surprised how many you could get.
Yeah. Do you feel, like, what is your process in regards to, like, making a beat or, like, a track? Do you have a specific, like, do you have a vision for them prior? Because I think the hardest part for me, allowing somebody to produce my stuff, is that I fear that it won't feel like me. Because I have a certain way of doing things, and then, like, it's going to be like the game, you're going to have to replicate it, but, like, you have to, like, you know, there's, like, the tug and pull. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you feel that?
Well, for me, I think, so I read this great book. It's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. You got to read it. Every artist has to read it. Even if you're not an artist, just read it because it's a great book. And what he does is he explains it brilliantly about, man, I'm liking that word today. That's a good word. Brilliant's a good word. They say it in the UK a lot, but I feel like we got to bring it up here. But anyway, I don't know. I'm vibing with that word today. So, but he says it. What he says is, you have to separate the art from the artist. So you have to have Felipe, right? And then you have to have your artist.
Mm-hmm.
And your artist, the artist, like Sullybop for me, isn't me. It's an artist. Like, it's literally its own person. Like, it can make its own decisions. It can hire its own producer, fire its own producer, whatever it wants to do. Me, I'm just me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go and make a song, like, I try to take it out of myself. Like, I try to act like, oh, now I'll be Sullybop. But Sullybop can like this beat or dislike this beat or be on this. So you can have you and you can have the artist. And I think it's beneficial to try to separate them. And I think that makes it easier to write on a beat that's not yours or do something. Like, I don't feel bad if I try something new or if the song doesn't feel like me.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't feel bad because I'm just using, like, that's just my emotions kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a pretty, like, hyper logical person, which is not good sometimes, especially as an artist. Like, you're trying to think, because art isn't logical, really. Like, it's not even practical sometimes because it doesn't seem like it does anything. Like, because it's on its own, like, a song is just, you can't even touch it or see it or anything. So it's kind of hard to identify exactly what it is because you can't. Like, it's different for everybody. But I guess what's helped me is I know I write different songs to beats that aren't mine, like beats I didn't produce. I know that for sure, and I'm conscious of it. But now, like, I try to just not think about it, man. I just kind of, like, separate that art from the artist and just get in that zone, man. Because it's like the muse, you know. That's what you're fighting with. That's what you're trying to get. Like, you know, sometimes you're extremely inspired, but you have work to do. Like, you're like, I can't write right now because I have this shit to do.
When that happens,
Other times you're like, I have like 2 hours of free time, but I don't feel like writing at all. I don't feel like making a song at all. I just want to hang out. So it's never going to be it's never going to work out perfectly. Like, you can't always just write when you're inspired, you know. You have to have, like, a little bit of discipline for it, I think. And this is just me, like, my own personal opinion. But for me, separating the art from the artist, like, it's not like I've done it entirely. It's just like a concept. But it helps. Yeah.
The book that you said, is it like a thin book?
It's pretty thin. It's probably 60 pages, 50 maybe.
I think
it's
I
a white
read
cover.
it. Does he talk about, like,
Resistance?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I've read it.
Yep.
Oh, I love that book.
Dude,
It
book.
read me to filth.
Dude, it rips you, though. It makes you realize, like, I'm so full of shit.
Literally.
Yeah, like, completely about any
Like,
excuse that I have.
literally
It
every
eliminates your
excuse.
excuses, man.
Oh my god,
And I
it's such
right?
a good book.
And that really helped me, man. And, like, listen, the song Sullybop, I'm Sullybop. It's me. I get it. I understand. Like, I'm me, and I'm the person who makes the music. But I think in my mind, sometimes it does really help to just it takes pressure off, you know?
It does.
Imagine
yeah.
like we're making art, like having however many fans, you know, a few thousand or whatever. Like, imagine people making art that already had hits. Like, imagine that pressure of like trying to make another hit or something. Like, that's worse than anything we're feeling. Like, you gotta like put it in context, you know? It's like, it doesn't matter if you make a song. The audience doesn't know you weren't feeling it on this. Like, maybe they can tell, but they might vibe with it, and you're like, I hate this song, and it's your hit, #1 song. So,
Literally.
you know, back to, I'll conclude that with what John Mayer said, which is the audience is always smarter than you. So never think that you can outsmart the listener, because you never will.
Haha, that's true. That's true. They can see right through the bullshit too.
They see everything. They know
everything. That's crazy.
This song's great. Some random person. Nope. I don't like it.
And they're very.
And they're right. They're right.
Yeah, they're right.
This song is.
They will let you know.
They're right. And anybody, the next guy says it's amazing, and he's right too. It's like, you know. Yeah.
It's also subjective too. Like there's a point too that you can't really mirror yourself on what everybody's saying. Because then, like, who are you? And, like, what do you truly think of, like, that piece of work that you've made? So there's also, like, the separation.
Another
that needs
balance,
to be done.
too.
Yeah, another type of balance.
Great podcast called Make Art Not Content by Father Bronx. Really good podcast about that. It's all about being an artist, like, not getting caught up with the Instagram shit. You know, like, it's, like, about all the fallacies that we can fall into. You know, writer's block, Instagram, whatever it is, you know.
But also, too, I think that going back to the thing about balance, life is a balance, especially when it comes to social media and try to make it, because it's a
that's
tool.
The hardest thing for me. That's the hardest. I beat, like, nicotine addiction. Like, I can stop and start anything I start, I can stop. Like, I'm good with that. I have that self-control. But literally, social media is the hardest thing for me.
Also, too, because especially with like we're talking about artistry and whatnot, there comes a point you have to play the game too, and it sucks because you just want to make art, you just want to be heard, you just want to be seen, but you gotta play the game. And there's like, especially in the social media situation that like our society found ourselves in, you have to tango with it a little bit. And there again, you have to find balance in it, because you can't be selling out, you know what I mean? Just making like content because it's popular, like then,
and
like,
just live for the, you know, you can't live for your image. You have to your image can create itself. Like, I feel like that's all we're doing. I mean, that's all Instagram is or whatever. Like, it's all image. Like, it's all you trying to carve out some version of yourself. Whereas, like, should really just be concerned with the art, and the other shit will come. Like, it is what it is. But you also, for me, like, I just got real about goals. My goals are not 5,000 Instagram followers. My goals are 100,000 Spotify followers, you know? My goal is to have listeners, not to have followers, right? So, and to have fans, super fans, true fans. I love my fans. Like, that's the shit I live for, man. But when artists get on Instagram and they're like, I need followers, I'm like, don't you want plays? Don't you want people to listen to your music? Then you have to get real, because now what platform do I have to focus on? Well, now I have to focus on Spotify.
Yeah.
You know, so they're not, like, all that is just not getting real with what you really want, you know? Because you got to try to get on Spotify playlists if you want to get plays. Like, you can't just try to buy Instagram follower, you know?
Yeah, I think they also, people go in with their best intentions. Like, okay, I need this amount of following because yes, exposure, but then they get lost in the game, and it's all about like building this image. And then at the end of the day, like, what do you make? You know what I mean? Like, this is a pretty picture view. Yeah, like you have like there's a cute picture view, a nice travel situation you had going on, but like, where's your music? Where's your art? Like, where's your content? You know what I mean?
Like, I have one song, but then every single picture is just me with like crazy jewelry and shit that I rented, and like a car I rented, like that type of shit. Like, like, no disrespect. I understand sometimes you gotta fake it before you make it or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you just know, man. Some people just want the clout, and some people just want to work, and that's
and you can see too, especially in the content that they make, like the quality, and it's even with the point, like with your podcast, you only like a laptop, and that's the stage that a lot of artists are at. But even, and there's like the distinction, because they can be at this level, but you can like listen to the content. Like, it's different when like they're really doing it. Yes, they may they may be playing the game to a certain extent, but there's this balance that they've gotten for themselves. They're losing themselves in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and kind of wasting a little bit, like wasting it. It's because it comes down to energy too. Because that shit, Instagram takes energy, man. Social media takes energy. Content takes energy. It's like, and you need energy to do everything else for your relationship, for your school, for your education, for your, everything runs on energy. Like, people say time's very valuable, but you can have all the time and no energy, and what's the point?
Literally, you're not gonna get anything done in the time that you have. If you don't have energy.
Exactly.
Even Gary Vee too. I think he has all these social medias, and he says he doesn't he has people running it for him. And it costs money, but if he was doing it himself, he would not be doing all the other things that he's doing it because it takes time and energy to do that, like you said.
Exactly. And for me, I actually met him in 2019.
What?
And I've been a huge follower of his, and it was really great to meet him. But I'm standing there, right, and I'm like, why is this guy doing this, dude? There's a line of 130 people that are waiting to meet him and then ask him a question. It's he's literally a billionaire. Why is he doing this? It makes no sense. So yeah, you kind of start to think you have a problem making content. Okay, there's people that really have no time of the day running multi-billion-dollar companies, and they have time to make content. Even the fact that their team edits it, yeah, sure, but they still have to sit in front of the camera and say stuff and think about it, So. And
if they care, they're also gonna read through it. They're gonna make sure that it's to their liking, and that also takes time and
true.
Administrational things in the background. But yeah, it's you gotta really be very mindful where you put your energy towards. And also, like you said too, your image builds itself, and that is very true. With the content that you make, with the videos and certain content that correlates with what you're trying to put out, that really builds an image in who you are as an artist. So with that saying, let the work speak for itself, you really need to let the work speak for itself.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're gonna gain people who truly follow you, like you said, your super fans.
Which is the most important thing for any artist.
Yeah, honestly, because people can come and go too. You make this dope track,
you
and
have no fans. You have nothing. You're nothing without fans.
Literally, you don't have no way to monetize your work.
It's just cool shit that you made without fans. It's just something that you did that's it. You just made it, and then you didn't take it any further.
Gotta be very mindful where you spend your energy.
Yeah.
Where your time goes. Where are you going in the future? Where do you see yourself? What is in store for Sullybop? Music, business, company?
Yeah, so that's a good question, something that I ask myself all the time. But for me, I want to have a physical location for my business. That's the next goal. And build it to, the point where it can somewhat run itself, but also be able to provide what I do online in person too. Meaning to have a studio. That's my main goal, is to have a studio that's a space for the business and also a collective place where people can just rent space and studio time and go and do what they want to do.
Nice.
And just so we can, if you hit me up and hey, I have this huge guest coming in, can I use your studio? Yeah, dude, rent it out for an hour or whatever. Have that type of space. And that's my goal for the business, and to just have a production company, whether it goes beyond podcast, great. If it stays podcast, great. That's my thing. I love that. As far as the music, I have a plan, but it's a 5-year plan, so it's really long as far as my plan for the music. But I'm just making I'm just pumped, just working on songs and getting them mastered and just trying to release, because I need to get into a release schedule. That's my hardest. That's the thing I haven't done. I released one song in 2020. That's just there's no excuse for that. That's ridiculous as an artist. And I
released 0 songs in 2020.
Yeah, well, hey, that's that's the thing. And then there's other people who did 300 or whatever. So it's but the way that I just know that I can't. I have to be done with all those excuses, man. I just gotta pay. Hey, if I gotta pay the guy to master it, it's $100 to pay it. Who cares? Just get it done. Whatever it is. So, but yeah, man, physical location for the business, and learning more about production. That's what I want to do, and the music is grow the fan base and just make quality music. Yeah, and release it.
Are you a single person, or do you like making a body of work?
Both. I'm probably more of an album person, because that's how I digest music. That's how I listen to music. I listen to people's albums, and I like to I will judge an artist on their albums, and I will still like and save their singles and listen to them. But a great artist for me is an artist that can not only create an album, but create a unique and coherent album. And I look up to artists like that, so that's what I put value in. And I've created one album. I've created multiple albums, but only released one. And then I've created like a few EPs. But now I'm setting my sights on August for an album release.
Nice.
And then just singles up until then.
Perfect. Nice. Good for you. If there's any piece of advice that you give people trying to get their life together and like accomplish their goals and build something for themselves, what would it be?
Well, I don't have it figured out, and I think that's the number one thing, or one of the things to know is you don't have to have anything figured out. You just have to try new things and try more things. A lot of people will tell you to get disciplined, to time management, all the things we spoke about, understand your art, blah blah blah, all these things. But you also have to just try new things, because I think that's not something that we're taught to do, really. We're kind of taught to like pick a lane, stay in it, make as much money as you can, live for 10 years, then die. Like that's kind of the thing. And that's kind of just the way that it's set up. I'm not blaming anybody. But I just think for me, and what I've said on multiple podcasts now, and what I'm going to continue to say, is I would not be where I am without trying new things and just taking the opportunities, man. Because like I do so many different types of work, and I just I love all of it, man. So like I just think the main thing for people is just try new things. If you're not producing your beats, produce a beat. Guarantee you're gonna learn a lot from that.
A lot,
right? If you are producing your beats, sit down with a producer in the studio. You guys make it together. You guys make the song together. Record it you write the lyrics, record it. Like, just do what you're not doing. Try to do the opposite. Or what you're doing now, just do the opposite. Try it. You're going to learn from that. So I'd say try new things is my number one.
Personally, for me, it would be to just do it.
Yeah, man. Nike, but
literally.
Straight up.
Because, like we said, there's a lot of excuses that we make for ourselves. Oh, I need to wait for this, or can't do this just yet because I don't know anyone, or whatever excuse you might make up. But at the end of the day, you're gonna be really stalling, and your success really. So you just do it.
Yeah, it's same approach. Find a new thing, just do it. That's it.
Yeah. So that'll be it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this little chat with Sullybop. Follow him on the socials. If you are watching this on video on YouTube, which all you podcasters should, his stuff will be somewhere around here. And thank you for tuning in. And again, for those video watchers over there on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.